And the Oscar goes to Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer.
In the dim light of a London cinema decades ago, a boy sat entranced by the flickering image on the screen. A boy who would one day bend time itself in film. For Christopher Nolan, reality is a puzzle to be assembled by memory, each scene a reflection of our deepest questions. His movies are infused with a metaphysical outlook, exploring time and memory as central themes. From Memento's spiraling clocks to Inception's inverted dreams, Nolan's work constantly reminds us that memory is malleable and time can be rewritten. Imagine that London boy staring wide-eyed at Star Wars, his destiny already written in superimposed frames of galaxies and dreams. This is the story of how he transformed that wonder into an empire of storytelling, forever altering the landscape of cinema. Christopher Edward Nolan was born on July 30th, 1970, in Westminster, London, to Brendan Nolan, a British advertising executive, and Christina Jensen, an American flight attendant. He grew up in Highgate as a Catholic, even spending summers in suburban Chicago with relatives. But his real schooling began in the dark theater of Leicester Square. From a very young age, Nolan was movie-obsessed, as one profile memorably put it, the movie-obsessed son of an English odd man and an American flight attendant. His childhood home was stocked with adventure. By age 7, he borrowed his father's Super 8 camera and shot homemade Star Wars epics. One early film, Space Wars, was a stop-motion delight made from clay figures and a kid's imagination. His bedroom walls were soon posters of Blade Runner and 2001: A Space Odyssey. Directors like Ridley Scott and Stanley Kubrick became his idols. Legend has it he watched Star Wars so often he lost count of the days. It was around age 11 that Nolan decided to become a filmmaker. He and his brother Jonathan spent weekends crafting short films, even co-directing an 8mm surreal piece, Tarantella, that eventually aired on PBS. They built miniature sets from household items, their living rooms doubling as movie stages. By his teens, Nolan knew exactly what he wanted to do. He later credited novels like Graham Swift's Waterland and Peter Gabriel's The Wall for opening his mind to parallel narratives in dreams intertwining with reality. Growing up, he devoured detective noir and experimentals alike, always fascinated by the unseen world beyond the camera frame. Nolan's love affair with film only deepened as he grew. In school, he excelled at the mechanics of storytelling. He founded a film club at University College London, UCL, borrowing the school's editing equipment and cameras to refine his craft. He deliberately chose not to attend film school, instead studying English literature while all the while making his own films. UCL's Union Film Society became his playground. Nolan and fellow film buff Emma Thomas, who would become his producer and wife, even rented campus auditoriums to screen 35mm classics, using ticket sales to fund their own 16mm projects. Every ounce of free time was spent behind a lens or in editing bays, learning by doing. Nolan's path wasn't easy. After graduating in 1993, he worked various odd jobs, script reading, camera assisting, even corporate videos. He and Emma attempted a feature called Larry Mahoney, but it was scrapped. He recalled those years with blunt honesty. Never had any support whatsoever from the British film industry. It was clubby, he said, and finance was scarce. But Nolan was nothing if not determined. So he did what any resourceful young director might. He paid for his own movie. From 1997 to 98, Nolan self-financed and shot his first feature, Following. On roughly £3,000, he improvised a gritty noir. The guerrilla shoot meant Mondays through Fridays at the office and weekends with friends on set. As Nolan puts it, we were all working full-time jobs, so we'd get together on weekends for a year, shooting about 15 minutes of raw stock every Saturday. We went to the San Francisco Film Festival with it in 1998, and Zeitgeist Films picked up distribution, which really helped me get Memento going. This tells how Following, made on the director's own dime, was his calling card. Each scene was rehearsed endlessly to save film stock, and every actor, mostly friends, got a chance to deliver. Critics later hailed Following as a polished debut, its spare handheld camera work a marvel, earning Nolan notices as a majorly talented debutante. This tiny film on gritty London streets was just the spark he needed. That spark exploded with Memento 2000. After Following, Nolan's brother Jonathan pitched a twisty tale of a man with short-term memory loss seeking his wife's killer. They structured it backwards, a bold move unheard of in mainstream film. Initially, studios balked at this $4.5 million indie script, but Nolan's Following success had caught eyes, and indie distributor Newmarket Films took the chance. When Memento premiered at Venice Film Festival, critics were stunned. It quickly grossed about $40 million worldwide, a giant leap for its budget. Joe Morgenstern of the Wall Street Journal wrote that it was clever, strangely affecting, and slyly funny all at the same time. The film earned Nolan Oscar and Golden Globe nominations for Best Original Screenplay and Independent Film Awards for directing. In Nolan's own words, "I got paid to direct it, I had millions of dollars in trucks and hundreds of people, and I haven't looked back since." That one line sums it up. Memento changed his life forever. With that success, Nolan could choose his projects. He founded his company, Syncope, and had Hollywood calling. Next came the ultimate test, Batman Begins. In the early 2000s, superhero movies had been mostly camp or exhausted. Warner Bros. Dared Nolan with a grounded reboot. He famously insisted on realism, heavy on stunts and location work. Batman Begins had minimal use of computer-generated imagery, CGI. He built scaled city sets, flipped the old Batmobile, and let actors like Christian Bale and Michael Caine improvise within a tight vision. The risk paid off. Batman Begins 2005 revived the franchise with dark psychological depth. It grossed hundreds of millions worldwide and was 2005's ninth highest grossing film, praised by critics for its grounded tone. Entertainment Weekly even noted the film for its Nolan-esque seriousness. The sequel ramped up with The Dark Knight 2008. Nolan again eschewed overblown digital effects. He became the first to shoot an entire blockbuster on IMAX film, giving Gotham City unprecedented detail and scale. When The Dark Knight hit theaters, it shook Hollywood. With Heath Ledger's now iconic Joker and Christian Bale's Batman, it was praised as one of the best superhero films ever made. It shattered box office records, earning over $1 billion and earned 8 Oscar nominations. Heath Ledger won a posthumous Oscar for his Joker. It even led the Academy to expand Best Picture nominees, the Dark Knight rule. Behind the scenes, though, Nolan dealt with tragedy. During post-production, Ledger died. Nolan later said completing the film was like a duty, admitting he felt an enormous amount of responsibility to honor his final performance. That weight added a solemnity to The Dark Knight that no one will ever forget. By 2012, Nolan had cemented his reputation. In fact, film historian David Bordwell notes he is now considered one of the most accomplished living filmmakers. But he didn't slow down. Outside the Batcave, Nolan kept pushing boundaries. In 2010, he released Inception, a genre-blending, blockbusting mind-bender. He described it as a contemporary sci-fi actioner set within the architecture of the mind. It was a high concept he'd developed since the 2000s. Armed with DiCaprio and an ensemble cast, Inception grossed over $800 million. Critics hailed it. Film writer Mark Kermode called it proof that cinema is not trash and it is possible for blockbusters and art to be the same thing. It was a statement Nolan would uphold time and again. Intelligent ideas can ride alongside explosion-filled action. In 2014 came Interstellar, Nolan's space epic about love transcending dimensions. It too was a hit, around $775 million worldwide, and struck an emotional chord. A.O. Scott of the New York Times praised its visual dazzle and its heart, calling Interstellar a sweeping adventure driven by love and regret. Even grade school science teachers hailed its scientific accuracy. Some said it should be shown in science class. Nolan had woven profound emotion into vast spectacle. In 2017, Nolan turned to war with Dunkirk. With almost no dialogue and massive IMAX dogfight sequences, it was perhaps his boldest gamble yet. Audiences were on the edge of their seats, and critics were stunned. Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle said, "It's one of the best war films ever made. You sit in the theater in a state of jaw-dropped awe. It won Best Picture and Editing Oscar nominations and brought huge box office returns, $525 million. Gradually, Nolan's name became synonymous with cinematic events. Rolling Stone even declared Nolan is the most important director of his generation. Critics and directors echo this. Animator Guillermo del Toro called him an emotional mathematician, someone who can calculate the precise emotional beats of his high-concept puzzles. The BBC's Will Gompertz describes him as an art house auteur making intellectually ambitious blockbusters. Indeed, he bridges two worlds. He treats big-budget filmmaking like fine art, never letting big dollars dull his curiosity or craftsmanship. Of course, not everything Nolan makes is universally loved. His ambitious style invites scrutiny. Some critics say his movies can be too clever, turning audiences into voyeurs of their own brains. For example, Tenet 2020 polarized viewers. Many praised its incredible visuals and ambitious time twists, but others found the plot so naughty it kept them out of the story. One critic summed it up as rich in audacity and originality, but almost impossible to love, lacking in a certain humanity. In simple terms, Tenet was called cerebral to a fault. It did well at the box office, $363 million, but was Nolan's first film to underperform relative to expectations. However contentious, Nolan's fights usually have firm principles behind them. He has famously never owned a smartphone or used email, preferring personal delivery of scripts. He believes deeply in the theatrical experience and in filmmaking as craft. And most actors love working with him. Many say Nolan has a kind of zen on set, calm, focused, and extremely supportive. He learned early on that actors need freedom, once noting he always lets actors perform as many takes as they want to capture genuine emotion. Hollywood A-listers often rave that Nolan trusts their instincts and keeps egos in check. Christian Bale, Matt Damon, Matthew McConaughey, and Jennifer Lawrence have repeatedly taken on Nolan's tough challenges, likely because they know he won't micromanage them. He trusts their talent. By 2023, Nolan had reached legendary status in Hollywood, but he kept raising the bar. His most personal project yet was Oppenheimer, a biopic of the father of the atomic bomb. After splitting with Warner, Nolan brokered a deal with Universal. He got a $100 million budget and, crucially, exclusive theatrical rights for 100 days. He cast Cillian Murphy, who delivered an Oscar-winning turn as J. Robert Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer became a cultural phenomenon. Audiences flocked to see it on the big screen, partly because Nolan had sold it as the reason to return to theaters. Critics praised it as Nolan's masterwork. Variety wrote it deserved the title masterpiece, and the BBC's Karen James called it boldly imaginative and Nolan's most mature work yet. It wove together Nolan's love of spectacle with deep introspection on humanity. Financially, it earned nearly $1 billion worldwide, placing it among the top films of 2023, and garnered 10 Academy Award nominations. Nolan finally won Best Director and Best Picture Oscars for it. Once again, he proved his faith in audiences that they'd follow a complex, long movie about theoretical physics was not misplaced. Christopher Nolan's legacy is now secure in cinema history. He's one of the few living directors to have had 3 films preserved by the U.S. Library of Congress, Memento, The Dark Knight, and Inception, for their cultural significance. His films have grossed over $6 billion worldwide, making him one of the highest-grossing directors ever. Critics and scholars laud his contributions. David Bordwell notes Nolan as one of the most accomplished living filmmakers. Others highlight how he kept the art of real filmmaking alive in the digital age. For instance, film critic Matt Zoller Seitz remarked that Nolan's success proved you can bring art house discipline to Hollywood blockbusters. What sets Nolan apart from many modern directors is that he treats the audiences smart, never talking down to them. He blends philosophy and popcorn, inviting you to solve the puzzle while feeling the human stakes. This is why his fans are so devoted. Nolan's movies entertain and provoke thought, making viewers feel smart and amazed at the same time. He's built a career on respect for cinema's traditions, using film stock, building sets, even projector noise, yet always pushing the envelope of storytelling. Unlike many blockbuster directors who chase the latest trends, Nolan often seems to ignore the trends entirely. He's an old-school film buff who loves Einstein and self-adhesive tape almost as much as he loves explosions, and audiences have rallied behind this unique mix. People have daydreamed and schemed over Nolan's endings for years, forming communities to decode his work. His name on a trailer tells moviegoers, get ready for something different. Christopher Nolan's story is still being written, but his journey from a Super 8-toting boy to a maestro of the multiplex is the stuff of legend. He's an inspiration to dreamers everywhere, proof that one person with vision, passion, and a camera can change the way the world sees time itself. Thanks for watching GOAT Review. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video if you enjoyed it.